Hello YouTube, this is True Emergence. I wanted to talk today about debating and philosophy and more specifically morality and other things that I'll bring this into. And I know that sounds like much more than I should talk about in one video, but it'll go quicker than it should. Now I don't want to sound arrogant here, but I'm realizing over time that I care less and less and less for debating about things like morality. This is mostly because no matter what solution I find myself agreeing with the most, it doesn't change how I live at all. As a matter of fact, I realize that, practically speaking, when it comes down to my decisions, morality is a semantical game. And I'm not into semantical games. They get kind of boring. This kind of reinforced this creeping understanding I had of people having a nature of wanting to categorize things strictly. And this is where most Western philosophy comes from. And you know what? I'm cool with that. If people want to do that, that's fine, but I don't want to argue with them about how I should categorize things in my head. I think that that's kind of boring and just isn't my thing. It's not something I want to spend my time on. Most of my time, most of my debating, most of my discourse involves what I'm going to change practically speaking in my life. What I'm physically going to do different because of how I'm thinking. And the thing that's made this difference most is my studies in Buddhism. And I think Christianity attributed to it, but Buddhism really took what I took off of Christianity and expounded on it. Things like meditation, and that's about it. When I think of morality, I've kind of eliminated that thought in my head. And it's not so much that I'm some sort of nihilist, it's not so much that I don't believe in morality, I just don't care about morality. But I do consider what I should and shouldn't do based off of the causal effects. And I'm not so quick to label myself in any of these views because I think it came down to what it did with religion. Whereas somebody would ask me the question, well, where do you think you go when you die? And I would respond, I don't. And they would go, well, do you believe there's a heaven? Do you believe there's a hell? And I would respond, no. So do you believe we just stop thinking? Do you believe our conscious brain just ends and that's it? And I go, no, I just don't believe. I don't spend my time worrying about it. It doesn't mean much to me in the end. And I find a lot of people don't have this view. It's as if an option's presented to them, they have to make a decision on what they think about it. Whereas in Buddhism, you have the option of not to do. So, morality comes down to a question of to do or not to do. There's doing and there is not doing, which is doing something, rather than good and bad, which I think just adds an extra layer to it that doesn't mean anything to me. It means nothing. Good and bad is something I go when really, if I'm saying something's good, I go, well, that just doesn't feel nice. I don't like how that makes me feel. And I don't like how that makes somebody else feel when it happens to them. Therefore, I think it is not so good. It doesn't mean I think it's bad. It means I think it's not so good. I think it's a generally not the best idea to do it. And that's kind of how I talk. I don't like thinking, you're evil because you've done this to my friends or because you've done this to me. I think, you're not so good. I'd rather not spend my time around you because you're bad. You're like poison. It's different. It's a different way of thinking, and it keeps me in a different emotional state. That semantical game does come in. That semantical game does make a difference in my life as long as I don't play it. As long as I play it a different way, at least. I think I'll go more into this later. The video is running 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. But thanks for watching.